And welcome to the 2015 M&S
Preseason
report.
That's it.
So we're going to be running down, first of all, welcome back. Nice to have you all here again. Thank you for reviewing.
The draft was a lot of fun for those of you that were not involved.
Big success.
Yes, put it on WhatsApp. For those that don't know, it was a very big success.
Yeah, good job all around. And now, as promised, we're going to be recapping.
Going over each team.
You know, slowly, but, not too slowly. Each team breakdown, and then we'll get into a few league notes, and then we'll see you during the season. So let's get underway.
Well, as you know, we started the first show ever. It was not this one. We did a new thing, which was the preseason, pre-draft even for all the youngsters.
Because we had a lot of new guys, and the scouting needed to be done.
Yes,
so
and I think
everyone
that
was aware.
did help the draft move right along.
Definitely did.
And first thing, the draft did not really have any huge altering trades.
Right.
Really did not.
The draft, usually we have like 3-4 trades happening, people
Major
trading
numbers,
draft picks, and it didn't work like that. It was a straight-up draft.
Straight draft. The only trade was to get Ralph Mendiel on Michael Saban's Legends of the Fall team.
Because Mike, Legends of the Fall, Mike Saban Solomon, he said, I will not have a draft without Ralph Mendiel on my team. He wanted him, he got his men. So either way, now without further ado, let's start. Get underway. We'll start with the team.
Michael Not Saban, a new captain.
Rookie captain.
Now, one thing we'll say about him is a lot of the other captains thought he'd be wet behind the ears and a rookie captain, but he showed himself to be savvy.
Right.
A wise guy.
Listen, he's been around softball since he's 7 years old. He
did his homework.
He knows what he's doing, and his name is Not Saban, so he should have some sort of softball in this because with the Saban name in there.
He has a good bat he brings to him.
Yeah, that's true. So let's get underway with his top 3 picks that he went.
He went last year. He went with 2 players he had last year, and they're his boys. They named their team the Curse of
the Balbino.
Their catcher on the team is Nathan Bailey. God bless you, Nathan, losing weight like a truck,
yes,
working real hard. We'll get to him. But their first pick was one of the stars of the postseason last year, Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen, as you all know, has all the potential in the world to be a superstar. And last year, postseason, all of the potential came out.
Boy, did he show up.
And he was one of the reasons, I would say, if not the main reason, aside from Rob Salomon, that they actually won the World Series that year.
Yes. Now, number 2 pick was, he did go up a little bit, but his hitting is really top 5 in the league every year.
Every year he's there.
Cohen.
He's there in every category offensively.
Again, they batted him 2 last year in the World Series, and he was one of the reasons Michael got himself around those bases.
Right. So Michael, Soley, the Cohen boys, the Cohen brothers, they were taken 1 and 2, and the rest of his team followed as he took.
Well, he went
with need, B as someone people that he knows, his boys,
right, he
so
went
to
be
speak.
with the boys, which sometimes works. You have a nice little camaraderie. He went with Shimmy Cohen,
right? So
which
Shimmy
was more of a need.
Right, Shimmy was a need, but Shimmy was also Rookie of the Year last year, and he was also one of the better hitters in the league last year.
The most interesting thing about Shimmy is we found out afterwards that Shimmy told us his first time playing outfield was in our league last year.
Right, he said he's a everyday left side, third base, shortstop. So that's what they're going to end up doing. They're going to be putting Shimmy on the left side.
You'll be putting him at short.
Yeah, and then there were a few guys taken like Bobby Safdie, who we know is a great bat.
Looks to be their right fielder with Victor Shrem. They're probably going to be alternating sometime.
And then, so from what I hear, the steal of the draft was Aaron Dweck.
Yeah, see, that was the name. We did bring him up in that
They're calling him Hammering Hank Aaron.
He's a big, tall guy. He's strong as a bull. We saw him in the cages. Cages don't always translate to everything, but I think he's
from everything I'm told, this kid's the real deal.
And the people that play with him in P Park.
And to round out their team, they have Ricky Schwecke, they have Not Saban, Ralph Sutton, former World Series MVP, also to be paid
in our night league, Ralph Sutton flat out is more comfortable. He's a better pitcher than he has been at least in Sunday morning. Maybe he has him again the right shake Sunday morning with his teams and stuff. But he's shown in our league to be a pitcher, a force.
All around the Curse of the Balbinos, although they do have a lot of that friendship camaraderie going on, they do seem to be lacking maybe a player here and there, but I think they could compete. I think they can
have enough. I think if Shimmy Cohen continues like he did last year, and if Aaron Dweck is the steal they say,
I think that's the guy. I think if Aaron Dweck is the bat that they think he's going to be, I think their team has the right guy.
People have been saying they don't want the pressure to be on Bobby, because if the pressure's on him too much, not good.
Because Bobby doesn't do well under those circumstances. He's just a great hitter for what it's worth.
Right, so if you bat him 5th, 6th, and the pressure's not on him, and they have the rest of their lineup, and they have speed, between Michael Cohen, Shimmy. Sully Cohen's down 25 pounds. I consider them a playoff team. I don't know about you.
I think they are a borderline playoff team. I think it all depends on Aaron Dweck. Now let's move on to the second team. I think we're going to go with Legends of the Fall.
Michael.
This is, we went from not Saban to Mike Saban. Saban, Mount Saban himself.
I'll tell you what, compared to the team we just went with, I know Michael has a lot of hitting here.
Right.
But there's some warts that we're going to discuss here. But, again, he has Ali Marshall.
He also did make a very big trade that changed his team up a little bit.
Which trade was that?
With Freddie Hickory.
Oh, that's right.
So that's a little bit of
he did make a big trade. This is a trade after the draft.
Right. So Freddie Hickory traded was it Leo Picciotto? Right. And it was for Jackie
Leo Picciotto and Nathan Cohen.
Right.
Who was a late pick for him. For Jackie Haber, who was a young, athletic, up and coming. Some people say he could be a rookie of the year in our league this year.
I just think Leo
and they got DT.
Right, and David Towell. I just think Leo Picciotto fit what Saban's team needed.
Yeah, just the personality.
Right,
of the
it was something that I think worked for all parties
involved.
He
played with Michael Solomon's team a lot last year. With Michael's,
listen, they know each other on the softball field for years, and I just think it felt more natural.
So that's fine. That's cool.
I think now we should.
Leo's going to be their center fielder. Now,
correct.
Is he the elite center fielder always?
He could be.
He's a veteran center fielder.
He could be.
Doesn't have the speed as others, but he could be.
Listen, I think he's a hitting machine. He gets on base all day, and I think he's actually a little underrated in center field. I think people think he's not as good as he actually is. I think he's better than that.
Now, first base, Saban's going to be there. Ali's going to be at short. We know he's won a World Series at shortstop. They have a couple of David Rishti, who's a hitting machine.
David Rishti's on base. He's a bunch of those type of guys.
He could take second base. They picked up a night hitting machine, Avi Dweck.
Right, Avi. So they have a bunch of those good, pure hitters. I think their team is going to come down to one guy and one guy only, and that's on the arm of Mark Cohen.
Which is a scary thing.
So no, it's not so scary because I'm watching Mark in Brooklyn, and I know it's not the same, not facing the same hitters, but I witnessed him myself. I faced him. He is throwing the ball with a purpose, and Mark Cohen looks like he did turn the corner mentally, and I think Mark will be a reason.
Mark always throws hard, but I think on a week-to-week basis, you really don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes on a game-to-game, and sometimes it's so extremely, it goes inning to inning. He'll shut a team down, the best part of their lineup, 1, 2, 3, fast, make Maxi out of them. The next inning walks the first four guys.
Well, there's going to be two questions with this team. That's A, can Mark Cohen officially turn the corner? And B, their defense.
That scares me.
I don't think their defense, I'm looking at their roster right now, is really up to par.
David Tabish is their right fielder. From what I hear, he was one of the young rookie guys.
And they picked up Jakey Sasson very early in the draft.
But he's an infielder. I'm
right, so either way.
Is Avi Dweck their left fielder?
I don't know. There's a lot of question marks defensively on this roster.
And they traded DT. Right. This trade to get Leo. DT was a glue on defense. You could throw him anywhere.
Right.
And he's above average.
Listen,
not just average.
Saban always picks offensively, trades offensively. But sometimes he wins. Last year he won the World Series, but that's because Rob Salmon was great.
Rob was his pitcher.
So now it's a question mark now.
I'm on the fringe as a playoff team here. I don't love. I'm a big fan of defense. I do love their offense.
Listen, Saban always finds his way into the playoffs. That's why I'll never not pick him for the playoffs until he proves me wrong.
Well, I'm saying they're a fringe team. Next team.
Winner.
Chicken
dinner. Well, that's Isaac Norwood Dweck's team name, and
I feel like you could always pick his team name. You look at all the teams, you know which one's going to be Isaac.
Right, sure. So, winner. Isaac Norwood Dweck, he went a little bit of a different route this year with his picking.
Actually, it's funny. Somebody called me telling me that Isaac not like the guys on his team last year. He went so different. That sometimes it just works.
There's always one constant though. Yitz Belch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You'll always
have him last year.
Right, so he had to get him back.
Yeah, he had to get him back.
So I think
he sacrificed Ralph Mendil for
right. 3 of the 4 years that Yitz Belch is in the league, he's been on Norwood's team.
And by the way, I think 4. No, he's been in the league 5 years now. Yitz. He's in the World Series 4 of them.
Right, so that's a good luck charm.
Exactly.
So listen, Ralph Hannon / A.B. Cohen on that team is to me, the X factor of the team.
Now, Isaac likes to say one thing when I talk about his team. He says, I got the best player at their position in a few positions.
Right, he picks by position of need.
And Jordy is, in this draft, probably the best at shortstop. Ali and Jordy, they're together there. Jordy as the youth, Ali's the veteran.
Yeah, but Jordy's the budding superstar that he is. His arrow's only pointing up.
So that was Jordy did not have a great night league last year. He was not on a great
he was on a pretty bad team also.
Right. He was not on a good situation team. He played many nights because he covered for JT last year. He didn't have a great night hitting, but I do think he was injured last year. His foot was hurt. He wasn't himself.
Listen, an underrated part of their team also is actually Norwood himself. People usually gloss over the fact that, oh yeah, Norwood plays a great second base. You don't realize how much he hits.
In the night league, he hits
doubles and Norwood's on base. Aside for the World Series last year where he went ice cold.
Ouch.
Yeah, but Norwood pretty much holds his own at second base.
That's what Norwood says. He goes, I got Jordy, he has himself at second, he has Ralph on the mound.
Right.
Those three up the middle like that could be the three best defensive at their position.
I think
it's just not the package.
To me, their X factor of the team also, another one, is Sonny Braha.
Correct. If that kid's a flop,
they're
in deep trouble.
Right. So if Sonny Braha is anything what we think he is, they'll be competing. Right. If Sonny Braha is not like we think he is, with the reports that we've been told, then Norwood better be on the block shopping for an outfield.
Now, one thing, Norwood might have it's funny, it's a very late pick for him. Well, he went with, before I get to this, he went with Maurice Haber. So he did with the go with the old time.
Another captain sort of guy.
Exactly. He went with Ike Mavora.
Another captain sort of guy.
And by the way, Ike could be a guy you slot into center if Sonny doesn't get the job done.
Right, or maybe play for a cross.
Could play for a cross, which is something Ike himself does like to do. He's always a proponent of that. Ike.
They also have a kid, Victor Dweck.
See, that's the guy. I hear good things. This kid, Jack Beebe, the catcher, who's a ball player, tells me that this kid, Victor Dweck, is a real outfielder.
I believe it.
And he was a late pick, so that's a big one. So between Victor Dweck, Sonny Cohen...
And then don't forget about Sam Loudon, who could lock down right field.
That's somebody that we love in this night league. We know Sunday morning he didn't always have the greatest of times.
For some reason at night, he sees the ball better and makes every play.
He really
so
does.
That's all we know him as in the night league guy. I think this team is a little long in the tooth. They might be a little too old to be.
I hear it, but they're a playoff team.
But they're I think because of the X factor at pitcher.
I think pitching in the league this year is a little light, and having Ralph Hannon on the mound.
I agree.
Alone,
I see them a playoff team, and if they get onto a run, maybe something magical could happen. But you never know. The season's a long season. And we're just talking way prematurely.
Well, exactly. Left Sharks.
Yeah, so the Left Sharks, great team name, by the way, Freddie, good job. The Left Sharks, Freddie Hittery, first also rookie captain in his career. Pitcher.
He pitched a few games in MNS Night League in the past, but
now,
never had the job.
Well, Freddie Hittery is my pitcher on my team in Brooklyn Sunday morning. He actually leads Nathan Batesh in ERA, leads the league in WHIP. He's a pop-out machine. I will be an advocate for Freddie Hittery. He's doing a hell of a job.
So, Sammy's saying that. We told Freddie, you know what? I know that Freddie has a great defense behind him Sunday morning in Brooklyn.
The best.
So, if he picks a defensive team
behind him,
right. We know he's not walking guys. So that's something we're afraid of Mark Cohen, afraid of other guys doing. We know Freddie's going to go there and throw strikes. Could it burn you sometimes? He's getting better and better. He's learning. He's learning the corners.
Listen, he's a kid. His arrow's pointing up. I love kids. That's just the way it is.
Talk about kids. He was the one that made the trade and got Jakey Haber, the younger kid, who was good friends with him as well.
Jake, listen, their team is a bunch of young guys with a few veterans sprinkled in.
I got a big question about this team. It's funny. People think he's a guarantee. But to me, Natan Safdie's a question.
Yeah, so Natan
plays.
I agree with you.
Who did he play with so far? He played with Norwood 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
it's with Isaac Dweck. Isaac honed him down, told him what to do, was on top of him.
Natan is one big ball of talent, and you have to harness it.
Yes.
And when Natan's not emotionally happy, Natan doesn't play the Natan that we all could do.
If he's trying to hit home runs and he hits 6 fly balls,
and we all know
I hit the ball great. I hit the ball great.
I think he's faster than anyone in the league.
I really believe
by far. Him from home plate to first base, there's nobody faster.
Nobody faster. Maybe in the community.
If he hits ground balls, every time we'll be batting 1,000. But he gets into his own head sometimes.
You got to hit the ball hard and low. It never gets old with him. And I don't care even if there's runners on base. We're thinking about it. He's a lefty.
Right.
You hit those balls in our infield in the night league. Usually gets through the way he hits it, and he's so fast. Yeah, so Natan's a big one.
Another big guy in their team is Jonathan Frisia.
Yes,
a lot of people are talking about Frisia, saying, "Oh, this kid really could be one of the top 15, 20 players in your league." And I'm hearing a lot of people tell me only good things about Frisia. So they have a bunch of middle infielders on this team.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to... Somebody told me he wants Jakey Haber on the infield.
That's weird, because they have ABJ Franco, they have Jonathan Frisia, they have Morris Harari.
Someone told me they want Joey Levy in left, and they wanted to put somebody else.
And then you have DT at first base. Listen, defensively, I think if Freddie does the right combination of players at the right position, I do think Freddie has a tremendous chance of being a very successful team, and I think it's a lock to be a playoff team.
His lineup may be a little light.
It is, but I think they're quick. And
David Harari, he's been a mainstay in our league as an all-star.
How do we get through this entire team without talking about last year's MVP?
So it's funny. Sunday morning, he's still not doing what he always does, but when it comes to the night league, he's probably the most fierce hitter in the league.
David Harari led the league in, I think, home runs, triples, doubles, slugging. If he's that guy for this team, which I do think he will be, I think this team will be a guaranteed playoff team.
And interesting, another player people overlook. I think Morris Harari is going to have a good year for these guys.
Yep, Froggy himself.
I think Froggy is a lefty in this team, and I think the youth of this team, the way it is, I think it could be a good fit for him.
Now, we're going to move on to a team where I think is a complete question mark. And I have no confidence picking good or bad for this team because I really don't know many of the players.
That would usually say that you don't love them.
I don't know if I love them. I don't really see him enough to love them.
The
Minutemen. Zach Ashkenazi, has been asking to be a captain for so long, and now we see why. He likes to pick a team that's catered towards him, his mindset, his mentality as a ball player.
His guys, and he wants to have a good time.
So he overdrafted a few guys just to make sure he gets them. But I'm not so sure about this team.
Okay, one thing about this team, we're going to have to assume, all right? We know what happens when you assume, but we're going to have to assume that this kid Catton, Joe Catton, is the real deal.
Yeah, so Zach came into the draft saying, I'm getting Joe Catton.
He's a real ball player.
The fact that he did that, I will also give him the benefit of the doubt that he is a star.
And he didn't take him in the third round. He didn't take him in he took him with his first pick.
You're right. His first available pick.
That means he really believes in this kid.
Right, but with Zach and if this kid Joe is
so there too. So talk about speed.
Right, they're supposed to be speed.
Billy Miz.
Oh, Killer B. He's been most underrated player in the league over the last 4 years. I always say he's going to take the next step up. I think this year is when he finally emerges as one of the premier outfielders in the league.
So this team could have the best outfield. Between Billy Miz in left, Joe Catton in center, and Elliot Mann in right. Elliot Mann was struggling with a hamstring injury. We're hoping by the time the season starts, he'll be 100%. But they do have a fourth outfielder in Steven Asulin, and Steven Asulin is their fourth outfielder, which is fine.
And then they have guys like Zach Kasson.
Good hands kid.
Right.
Then they have big catchers. Kid Isaac Abuka.
Oh, Isaac Abuka, he's in love with. Then you talk about big. You have Nemi Katz at first base.
Yes.
Everyone's singing his praises, pun intended.
Perfect.
And and we also have and his pitcher. Welcome back,
Leo Kasson.
Leo Kasson, former tournament winner. He fits the mold of this team.
He really does. I think he's good friends with Zach also.
Yeah, and then you have the old man, Louis Batesh, who will be on the field until the day he dies.
Yeah, God bless him. He's the best. He's going to be the team old captain, to say, what do you call it? The veteran. The veteran on the team. He might play third. He might play first. He might play second. He could be anywhere. They got Zach's brother, Teddy. So... a lot of speed on this team.
I'm shying away from them being a playoff team until I'm proven wrong. I could be dead wrong. I just don't know. I don't know half these guys.
I'd say Nemi's going to have to hit and bring this speed around the bases.
Right.
Not his speed, the speed. Next team.
Let's move on to Summer of George. By far, hands down, best team name of the league this year. Captained by Morris Mocas Kasson.
Morris Kasson. Welcome to the league as a captain. Obviously.
Right. So, Morris is, everyone knows Morris. And I'm looking at his team. It all depends on the
pitcher.
All depends on the pitcher. It all depends on the foreigners, so to speak.
The foreigners.
No, there's a bunch of guys in this team that
we don't know about.
We put a lot of stock into based on Jimmy Malach's scouting report.
Now Jimmy knows the game.
Right.
I understand that. So do we trust him? But is there nepotism involved? There is relatives. Maybe he's overplaying them.
We don't know that. So now there are guys. Let's go through his team real quickly.
Jimmy's on the mound.
Jimmy's pitching. That's also question number one of the team.
Okay,
we all know he has the talent to do it.
I think he's going to be okay.
Okay, so
because I think he's smart enough that
I tend to agree with you.
He's going to throw strikes at the end of the day. He won't overpower and walk people if he can't do it. I think he's going to be smart.
To me, the most important guy on this team is not the Shrem that we all know, David Shrem, but his brother Mark Shrem.
You know what? I disagree. I don't think he's the most important part.
I do. I think he's the guy that everyone is saying he is. This team has a bona fide star center fielder.
Okay, so that's where I think it's not as important as you think, because I think at the end of the day, they do have another outfielder that they're going to end up using. David Farka came into the league saying, I don't want to play outfield. I think if they need him out there, He will be out there when crunch time comes or a needed game comes, if they need him. If they don't need him out there in the outfield,
I think even more so where you're exemplifying my point. If you have two lockdown outfielders,
that's for sure.
They'll be a real good team. Then you have rookie guys like Little Gurney, David Ashkenazi.
The rookie guy on this team that I like is David Mirwis.
David Mirwis, I don't know if any of you guys remember, he came to the field a few times last year in his pajama pants.
Correct.
But I don't know if you remember the second part that he hit the ball in the left field gap three times.
He subbed once, and he had 2 bombs into the left center field gap. He's an athletic kid, and when he's on a team coming every week ready to play, I really think this kid could excel.
But let's talk about
he's looking forward to this league. He's very excited.
He's been talking about it every time in shul he sees you, right?
Right.
Let's talk about the most important question marks of this team.
Shortstop.
Are the shortstop and wherever the other his brother's playing.
Well, the other one's a catcher.
You have Steve and Ruvain Shalou. They have Joe Sut also, so I don't know how that's going to catch.
Interesting.
You have Steve and Ruvain Shalou.
I don't know which one's playing short, but whichever one is playing short is the big.
They're twins, right?
I think so, yeah.
So twins are not. They're calling them the suicide bombers. That's what they're calling them as the twins. Right. And they either could be if they're anything like Jimmy is saying they are, then
these guys are the team.
This is the real deal. Listen, this whole team's going on a scouting report. These guys on paper are going to be the best team in the league. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think half of them are going to be.
I'll tell you why I agree with that, because the lineup, even without them, is good. Having Farka, Morris Casson, and Jimmy Malak,
and guys like David Schramm and
complementary players,
and Mark Schramm and
like I said, Mirwis,
and then you have guys like Daniel Abadi who's on the rise. You have a bunch of guys in this team. I think this team could be a very strong team.
You like this guy David Catton, the older one. You said he could play good.
Oh, David Catton. He's not so old, has he? David Catton plays a really good outfield. He's the veteran guy in that team that I think will keep them together. He is that guy that you look for.
Nice. I just hope if this Shalou kid turns into the leadoff guy or the number 2 hitter who's a real ball player, these guys are a team to beat. Either way, I think they're a playoff team.
And then finally, we're going to talk about the expansion team, Club going up on a Tuesday. So really, Club going up. This is a team comprised of a bunch of friends from Mag and David. When they played on a team going in the actual league, I think they were at an under 500 record. But I do know a few guys in this team, and I do know a lot of them could play ball.
Okay, they grew up, a lot of them. So again, we're looking at them.
Let's go. I'll go through one at a time.
Perfect example. We'll bring up a guy that everybody knows is the Zolta, Albert Zolta.
Right, Albert Zolta.
We called him Little
used
Zolta
to be Little Zolta, but guess what? Now he's actually
graduated.
Becoming a better player, or as if the same player as Nathan. At least he's almost there. I'm watching him hit week in, week out, and he's playing a great left field, which is something he was never utilized at.
So, for example, they're saying that they weren't good when they were kids. This kid, we watched him grow before our eyes.
Then also Albert DeWeck, which is the star center fielder on that team. He won the batting title, I think, in Brooklyn last year.
He was in our league for about 5 minutes before he got hurt.
So Albert, his brother's Ocean on the team. Also, this kid's Albert River DeWeck. So we have Ocean and River DeWeck. We have
Jack, big hitter,
Jack Beebe, the catcher.
We spoke about on the pre-draft.
Yeah, so and then also my right fielder on my team in Brooklyn, Albert Manopla, strong. Also Sammy Shama, their captain. He's actually leading the league in Brooklyn in hitting right now. Wow. So listen, their team has a bunch of young, exciting
All this
teams.
That you say, I still do not think they're making the playoffs.
Well, it comes down to one position, that's starting pitcher.
Well, I'll go further than that. You could say what you want about Sammy Shama being the captain, but I think he got shoved into playing shortstop, that he wasn't so comfortable in doing.
They definitely don't have a true shortstop.
So if there's not a pitcher that you believe in, I'm not saying I don't even know him.
Their pitcher Nisim and also Ike Mala's son.
Okay, so that's 2 pitchers.
They're splitting a games, and guess what? The cream usually rises to the top. And listen, if one of those guys comes out looking great, then they do have themselves. I know they're talented, but I just hope they're not gazzed. And they're not coming in with the right mindset. I just feel like
they're coming in against a league of a lot of players, although there's a lot of new players this year, a lot of veterans who know how to do this.
I think they'll be all right, to be honest with you.
Okay, we'll find out. I'm not going to say they're going to flop, but I just see them going.
So how do we have it? 2 teams don't make the playoffs?
It's 7 and 6 do not make the playoffs.
So let's not choose the playoff teams. Let's choose the 2 teams that we believe preseason don't make the playoffs.
Well, I'm saying one of them is Club going up. You guys could try to prove me wrong, but that's one. And number 2?
I also agree that Club going up right now as the season starts is not going to be a playoff team until proven otherwise.
The next 2 question to me would be between Minutemen and Michael Solomon, Saban.
Right. So I actually disagree with you. I'm on a different page. I do think that... no, I'm sorry. Minutemen. I'm with you on the Minutemen. I think Minutemen's my second team that's not making the playoffs based on the fact I don't know these guys enough.
Okay. I just see the reason why I'm saying Michael Solomon's team, even though he's the defending champion as captain, and he has Ali Marshall, but defense is very important. So I can see this problem. Now, the most important part of our report is right now.
Right. So now I hope you're still tuned in because right now all captains pay attention.
New rule.
There is a rule. As you all know, we added a 12th man to every roster. So now that we have a 12th man to every roster, the likelihood of getting subs per night should be less. We do know there are certain players that you feel like you should get a certain sub for. That being said, Max and myself instituted a rule this year.
Every captain, email your teams. Find out who. Hopefully nobody's missing.
Right.
We understand that. And if everybody says they're coming to every game, you make the call.
But
every team chooses.
Regardless of the point, you're only allowed to have 2, and I say 2 people on your
How
team.
do they want me to cook without
Wait,
them?
hold on, we're being distracted. We're only allowed to have
Streaker
2.
on the field.
We're only allowed to have 2. Let's start again.
Sorry. Every team gets to choose 2 players. You email the 2 players to Sammy and I.
And
those 2 players
are protected. Now, those 2 players, if they miss, you can get a sub for. If
I have a team, and it's me and Sammy, or on the team, I choose me and Sammy. If Sammy's going to be missing, we can get a sub. Upon, of course, the player has to be...
All subs are upon commissioner approval.
Now, and if I'm missing, if anybody else on the team is missing, and you still have 10, or 11 for that matter, you're not getting a sub.
Correct.
He's my third baseman. I don't have one.
Too bad.
You have 12. Play. You guys, I've been in the YMSL this year, and last year, by the way, just to bring it up, and every single week, this team's playing with 9. Okay? This team's playing without their best players. And by the way, I'll give a lot of credit to Michael Solomon himself. Was missing David Farka and Billy Miz, and he pulled off a sweep. We have players in the league. Everybody deserves their opportunities. Pick your 2. One nuance to the rule that we will help out is if you only could show 9, we will let you get a 10th player.
Correct. So we want a minimum of 10 on the field because we don't like 9 guys and feel too much offense.
I don't want that.
So bottom line is you get to protect 2 players for draft for purposes of substitutes. Make sure to reach out to find out who's missing. If not anybody,
do your homework.
Regardless, protect your 2 top players.
If your first round pick says he's never missing, so don't use him as one.
Right.
So
So
he's never going to miss.
that's going to be that rule.
Now, playoffs is different. This is a regular season rule.
Right. And finally, I want to give a quick preview of the 2 games which is, I think, in a little over a week from now. First game of the season opening night will be winner versus the Minutemen.
Oh, wow. So that's Isaac Norwood, who was a World Series captain last year.
Versus the young Minutemen. Quickly, I'm not going to break down the game because we already went through the teams. I do think winner will be taking 2 that night.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you. I think coming out, a lot of their players are ready to play. And then some new guys on Minutemen maybe aren't going to be so ready.
And then let's move on to the next games of the week. Will be Legends of the Fall versus the Curse of the Balbino, which means it's Sabon versus not Sabon.
Right. And most of these players are all on the World Series team of last year.
Right.
Between the 2 teams.
I'm actually calling a split over here. I think there's too much talent on both teams to actually have.
Yeah, I think Curse of the Balbino is going to win game 1. And Michael Solomon, regular Sabon, is going to come out on fire game 2 and romp them in game 2.
Listen, if Ali Marshall comes to play like he usually does all day Ali, I think he will own a game by himself personally. Yeah, either way, that was the preseason 2015 M&S preseason show. We're glad you tuned in. Please, spread the word. Share the link with everyone you know. Looking forward to the season. And listen, that's all she wrote.
We'll see you. Too long.
It's way too long.